Well, good morning, or good afternoon, I guess. I've been here since this morning, but so good afternoon, everybody. And welcome to this very, very special day for the city of Quincy, and special day for the DeCristofaro family. And I know I speak for the president of the college, and a warm welcome to all of you being here today. I know that means a lot to him. And I certainly know this facility means a lot to the members of the school committee and all our colleagues in government. But as we do in any event, we're going to start off with our national anthem. We have Kala. Where is Kala? There's Kala. Kala Jones is a grade 11 student at North Quincy High School. She used to be a student over here at Central Middle School. If you all could please stand, she's going to lead us in the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Kala. Great job. You could just save your applause to the end. I'm going to go through our electeds who are with us here this morning. I certainly want to acknowledge them. Some of them you'll be hearing from during the program. But this morning we have with us Senator John Keenan. We have with us Council President Noel DeBona, Ward 1 Councilor David McCarthy, Ward 2 Councilor Anthony Andronico. We have Norfolk County Commissioner Richard Stady. We have Plymouth County Commissioner Greg Hanley. We have members of the school committee. I'll go down the line here. Paul Bergoli, Doug Gutrow, Kathy Hubley, Frank Santoro. I'm not sure if any of the others have joined us yet. We have two others that may be with us before the program is over. We thank them for their presence here today. This building truly has been a collaborative effort. When the building came up on the market a few years back, the then superintendent and I had a conversation about the potential of doing something educationally with it, since we are right next to the Central Middle School, and this had been used, although way back when, I understand it was part of the candy factory for Howard Johnson's. It was used by ENC as an educational facility for a number of years. So here we are celebrating today what is a magnificent educational learning center for the kids and families of our city. I think it's one of the first of its kind, the municipal in Massachusetts. So we're all very proud of that, certainly. Again, a number of speakers. Before I start introducing them, I just want to say a couple of remarks. I had the good fortune of serving with Dr. DeCristofaro. Over the years, I got to know him many, many years ago. Families go way back. His dad, Ted, and my dad were pals. Ted served the people of Ward 2 with great dedication. And, of course, it was really a dynamic duo because Betty was at his side. Betty's really the mayor of Quincy Point, Betty DeCristofaro. Truly come from great stock, as we say, good family. And my first couple of terms in office were not easy because that was when the financial meltdown happened. And Dr. DeCristofaro was nothing but a professional dealing with those times, making tough decisions, working with the school committee to make those tough decisions. We wrote Brian to come back on at that time to help us guide us through that time period, but never lost the vision part, never lost the what it's all about, and that's about the kids and the families that we serve. So he always had his priorities right. I mean, it's an incredible resume when you look at it. He started as a teacher and worked his way up, assistant principal, assistant superintendent, and then superintendent for a long, long time. Before he now joined us as president of Quincy College and doing an incredible job there. One of the things I admire most about Dr. D, and every graduation when he speaks to the kids, he's got his cards. I a couple times tried to grab and mix them up on him at graduation. He wasn't happy about that, but he really didn't need them. But one of the things he always said to the kid was, work hard. There's no substitute for hard work. And I think that speaks to his leadership in all his years in the Quincy Public Schools. Nobody has worked harder than Dr. Rick DeCristofaro, kids of the city. So today we honor him, and in a real way, we honor his entire family, his contributions in education. We have a number of speakers, and our first one up is Paul Hines, who is the Commissioner of Public Buildings, and Paul took control of the actual day-to-day project, working with an incredible team, and I know he's going to introduce some of the team members, but I know over the years, him and Dr. D certainly had some good years working not only on this building, but on a number of the buildings, school buildings around the city. We've made some great improvements. So, Commissioner Hines.
Good afternoon, and thank you all for coming today. I'll start. It's a little unique at the setup and the angle here, but we didn't want the obstructed seats like Fenway Park with the pole in the middle. Would be people demanding refunds. But my role is simple here. I want to tell you how proud we are to be part of this project. The mayor's a person of great vision, but this one, and he and Dr. D working together, and this is just probably one of the best they've had. The entire project team really took to the spirit of that was what was happening here and carried it forward. And I said at the council meeting that, you know, a lot of times I use my brain, use my back, I help the guys rip out walls, but in this one we got to use our heart. And I really saw that in the entire project team, from the contractors, the designers, and everybody else. They really went the extra effort for this project. And I think it shows, and it was a great camaraderie, a great collaboration. So to get where we are today, after we bought the building, we needed to vision what needed to happen. The program kept growing. Dr. Cristofaro at the time was superintendent, and Kevin Mulvey, current superintendent, was the assistant. Erin Perkins was the lead of the special education program, and she's laughing at me. And to take their counsel, their advice, their experience, their direction, at times their criticism, and bring it all together, and to work that into with our project team really is what created the vision and the reality of what you see today. When you walk through the place, and we encourage you to do so, there's pamphlets that have the roadmap, you'll be amazed at what you see. The reasons of the colors, the layouts, the neighborhoods, it all didn't happen by accident, and it was a lot of work and a lot of expertise and knowledge. So we're very grateful to have that in-house and to share that with those that we brought on board. The first group of the firm of the team that I want to introduce or recognize is the OPM firm of PCA 360. Our project was led by Tom Kerwin. He's here in the audience today, another Quincy boy, grew up in Henry Street, and ably assisted by our project executive, Brian LaRoche. They really put their heart and soul into this. This was a difficult project. You know, when you do renovation at your house, you always uncover unforeseen circumstances and conditions. This project was just replete with them. It was everywhere. But, you know, everyone took it in stride and got through it. You know, PCA 360 was really great at guiding that ship for us. Their professionalism, the knowledge that they took from other projects with them here really made this possible. I also do a little bit of pride on our in-house team. I got Walter McDonald, he's here. Huge wealth of knowledge and his expertise in the meetings every week. And David Scott, I know he's away on vacation. It's a well-deserved one. But his counsel and such on the ventilation and the mechanical issues really matched that of the professionals that we hired. I think they were really impressed at the team that Quincy brings to the table. So I definitely thank them for their expertise and their assistance on this. Brings us to the design team, Westling Architects, led obviously by Steve Westling, who was fortunate enough to be able to retire halfway through the project. So I think his heart was still in it. He still kept checking up on us. Threw us a little curveball, but we got through that one. The firm is now led by a couple of principals, one of which was on this project, and that's James Mackey. He was the lead architect on the project, and again, the principal in the reconstituted Westling. His vision, his assistance, his knowledge, again, I sound like a broken record, but it was invaluable. Linda Works is here, and she retired as well during the term of this project, but she stayed on and guided us through. It was Linda's vision with the colors and the neighborhoods, and I'm sure Evan's going to speak to it all, but it's about the children identifying their locations in the building, where they belong, where they're welcome, where they're supposed to be. Some are nonverbal, some can't read, other communication challenges. And this is all designed as a substitute for that and a way of coping for them. So Linda was amazing with that. And so she really was the interior designer in the overall project, not just those elements of it. But we really, this place is stunning, and we owe that in a large part to Linda. There's another person, I don't know, maybe twice I've seen him on the job. I actually seen him here today, and that's Adam. We worked him like a horse with the CAD drawings. Again, in renovations, I should say, Adam, we thank you. We drove him crazy. I think we had him on the verge of quitting. There's so many changes in this job and so many rewrites and so many design changes. He really was a hero and stuck through. And, you know, the firm, of course, had other projects. We all think we're Quincy, we're important, we're number one, drop everything else. They had to keep their practice going for their other clients as well, and it doesn't go without acknowledgement. There's another one, too. We did burden them so much, we actually had them bring another person on staff for this project, and that was Dan Bradford. He helped them in many regards and helped us and helped Brian to get us where we are, so we're certainly thankful to Dan. He had been retired from another job, and despite his wife's objections, he did agree to sign on to this one, and I think they're still married. This other one is EJ Kravinsky with EBI. We brought them on, and EJ really kind of shepherded a whole crowd of different sub-consultants and kept them in line, kept in coordination, and kept on to get the work product turned out for us. And that was definitely a challenge because there's a couple of different firms. It wasn't one all-encompassing firm. So we thank EJ for those efforts. The last one, and you're tired of me, but Colantonio Incorporated, the general contractor. They really absolutely set themselves apart from any of the firms I've used in my role here at the City of Quincy. I think Brian and Tom will agree for their other projects. This was a lump sum bid project. It wasn't a design build and guaranteed maximum price. They came in, they gave a bid to build the building as it was designed at that time. And we kept changing it. We moved the finish line, I don't know how many times. We even turned the baseball field around and hit in the opposite direction on them. But they were always fair with the change orders, always professional about it. There was never an argument about one change order that I honestly cannot remember one. The professionalism just went beyond their expertise, their experience. So I've got to call up Frank Colantonio, the owner of the company, the president. From him down, their team's been great. There's George Wilworth and Dave Dupuy. But on site, the people we got to know and develop a camaraderie with is Mike McCowan, Mike Raimondi, and Christian Burcham. I know he's here today as well. Kevin Costello, though, he was the project supervisor, the day-to-day, here every day, shepherding all the subcontractors that they had under their umbrella. And I'm sure it was a nightmare job for him because it, yeah, sure. But we really, again, they absolutely set themselves out from any of the other contractors we've done. We encourage them to bid on any of the future jobs we have coming up. And I will stop there. I could go on. We're very much excited about this project. I said at the council meeting, this is one of the ones that we take pride in and will always appreciate being part of going forward. So thank you all.
Next speaker who learned under the good Dr. D, superintendent today, Kevin Mulvey, who took over at a very difficult time in the school system when COVID began, and talk about baptism under fire. But Kevin's become a great leader, Superintendent Mulvey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Hines. Good afternoon, everyone. It is an honor to be here with you today to celebrate the completion of the Dr. Rick DeCristofaro Learning Center. I would like to welcome President DeCristofaro's family as we celebrate his legacy and, of course, this amazing building. There are so many people to thank because literally the entire Quincy community came together to support a project that will have a direct and immediate positive impact on our most vulnerable community members, particularly our students and families, our students of special education and their families. Together, we have built a state-of-the-art facility where a community once thought not possible can now exist, grow, and flourish. For our special education students and families, this is a game changer. I cannot be more thankful to our city leadership for making this a reality. From October 2019, when the plan was established, to the present, countless numbers of people have worked tirelessly to make sure the design was executed in a way that kept students and families as the primary focus. First, I would like to thank Mayor Koch, who saw the need for this building way back in the spring of 2019. He saw the potential that this building could be, formulated a plan with then Superintendent DeCristofaro, myself, Assistant Superintendent Erin Perkins, and the rest of the superintendent's leadership team. And today, we see the amazing results. Thank you also to Congressman Lynch, to Speaker Mariano, the state delegation, city councilors, and of course our school committee, who enthusiastically endorsed and supported this amazing project. Thank you also to Wessling Architects, Project Manager PCA 360 and their team, Commissioner Paul Hines and his team, the Special Education Parent Advisory Committee, parents, teachers, paraprofessionals, Special Education Director Julie Graham, Team Administrator Kerry Conley, and other staff who helped develop this project. Of course, today I have to thank Dr. DeCristofaro for his over 40 years of service to the Quincy Public Schools. Having started out as a special education teacher himself, this building is a fitting tribute to the many dedicated years he has given to the students and families of Quincy. He was not only the #1 advocate for every child and family that came through the Quincy school system, he was a mentor to countless educators. Certainly as a student and employee of the system, I am not an exception to this, and I am personally very grateful and privileged to be a part of this special day honoring your legacy. Thank you. Lastly, I would like to recognize and introduce to you Assistant Superintendent Erin Perkins, another proud mentee of Dr. DeCristofaro. Erin, as the former special education director, poured her heart and soul into the design and development of this building. With Erin's oversight, everything you see, from the individual bathrooms, to the sensory rooms, to the gym, to the parent center, to the color scheme, and so much more, were developed and incorporated with great care into this building by Erin and her team. To give you more information on this amazing programming that will be available to our students and families, I'm honored to introduce to you today Assistant Superintendent Erin Perkins. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Mulvey. I would also like to thank Mayor Koch, the members of the Quincy School Committee and City Council, as well as the other elected officials that made this beautiful building a reality. Dr. DeCristofaro, thank you for including me in the development of this amazing school. I am excited and proud to be here today for two very special reasons. The first reason is because of the incredible opportunity this space creates for our students with disabilities, and in particular, students with autism. I personally have sat in the meetings with families when we have had to make the difficult decision to refer a student to an out-of-district placement. These families do not have the opportunity to chat with other families on the sidewalk before or after school, or schedule play dates for their children. Going to dismiss their child from school when they are sick is no easy task and can take parents 45 minutes or more just to get to the school. After-school activities and programs are often not as available or accessible for our students. The Dr. Rick DeCristofaro Learning Center will make all of these things and more possible in their home community of Quincy. The Dr. DeCristofaro Learning Center will have a PTO and after-school and vacation programs. The Parent Resource Center will serve as a place for parents to connect and access support and resources for their children, as well as a place to connect with other families who understand and have been in their shoes. The impact this school will have on our families and students is truly the thing I am looking forward to the most. The second reason I am very proud to be here today is to honor Dr. DeCristofaro with the naming of this school. This is really a full circle moment for me, as Dr. DeCristofaro has told me countless times how important my father was as a mentor and a friend to him during his career. And I am here today to say that very thing to him. Dr. DeCristofaro, I would absolutely not be the educator or leader I am today without your mentorship and guidance. I grew up as a leader under your watch, and I am certainly significantly better for it. I know I am one of many in the Quincy Public Schools that can say with certainty that we would not be where we are today without your guidance and support. I could not think of a person more deserving for this honor than Dr. DeCristofaro. Every decision he ever made had the children of Quincy at the forefront. He held all of us to the highest of expectations because the students and families of Quincy Public Schools deserve nothing less than our absolute best. This beautiful school, named in your honor, is a perfect reflection of the work you have done and continue to do for the city of Quincy. I am very, very lucky to have had you, and still do, as a mentor, and even luckier to have you as a friend.
Thank you, Aaron. I know when Doc and I first looked at this building out front, we were chatting. I never dreamed it would cost this kind of money. So I'm truly grateful for the collaboration at the various levels of government. And one of them is our good Congressman Stephen Lynch, who during the pandemic and all the issues that brought with it, was a champion for his district and for Quincy. There's about $15 million of federal money in this building. Through the CARES money, through the ARPA money, some of it came through the county, but it all emanated out of D.C., and we have a great congressman always looking out for our needs. So, Congressman Lynch, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for that generous introduction, Mr. Mayor. It's an honor for me to be here. Mayor Koch, our quarterback, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but our state delegation, thank you so much, led by the Speaker of the House. We don't have a Speaker of the House down in Washington, but fortunately, I'd love to have you come down. Open invitation. Show them how it's done, Ron. You know, thoughtful leadership is in scarcity these days. But Ron Mariano on our Senate side, John Keenan, our House delegation as well, the school committee and city council here in Quincy, thank you so much. And our county delegation, as Tom Koch indicated, it takes a lot of people to get something like this done. And Greg Hanley and Dick Stadia here from Norfolk County and have been wonderful, wonderful partners all along. We could not make this all happen without agreement. And Tom Koch, you know, there are so many elements to something like this. I just want to say that Tom Koch is our quarterback. There are a lot of people that have to come together, but there also has to be the vision and the initiative out front in order to have people focus on a project and then get the resources and then bring in great people like Dr. DeCristofaro and our educators here in Quincy to make something happen. And I have 3 cities that I represent. I have 18 towns. I have 800,000 people that I represent. And no one does it better than Mayor Tom Koch. And I'm grateful. Tom's a real history buff. You know, there's no end to what he does in terms of trying to elevate the importance of Quincy, not only for itself, but also as really an epicenter for our growth as a nation. And I really, you know, spending most of my time in Washington, D.C., I greatly appreciate that. But I was looking at, you know, Quincy has had such a pivotal role in public education in this country, for every child in this country. There's a great quote by John Adams where he said, "The whole people must take upon themselves the education of the whole people and must be willing to bear the expenses of it. There should not be a district of 1 mile square without a school in it, not founded by a charitable individual, but maintained at the expense of the people themselves." That's the mission statement. That is the mission statement for public education in this country. That was the, you know, he put a marker down, John Adams did, and Abigail Adams and John Quincy Adams, about the value of public education. And so that's what's happening here today. And I'm honored to be here, and my thanks as well go out to Commissioner Hines and Superintendent Mulvey, and all of you who have been so, Erin, thank you so much, the real educators in this room that take up that task each and every day. It's an honor to be here, not only to celebrate the opening of this beautiful school, and it is beautiful. As I was an iron worker for 20 years and built a few schools, but this one, with the light, it just creates an environment that is conducive to learning. And you know, it's a blessing upon future generations of Quincy children. But also it's important to be here today to recognize the work of Dr. DeCristofaro and to name this beautiful school after him for his unwavering commitment to the public education of the children of Quincy. Dr. DeCristofaro has spent almost 50 years in the Quincy public education system, working his way up, some would say, from a teacher to a principal to superintendent and now president of Quincy College. During his time, I'm told that as superintendent of Quincy Public Schools, Rick saw the graduation of 11,752 students. When you say you desire to change the world, boy, that's it right there, when you have an ability to touch so many lives. Rick prided himself on making sure that students and their families alike, and there are a lot of first-generation students that come into the Quincy public school system, and Rick made sure that they felt supported by the teachers, the administrators, and the school system as a whole. As superintendent, Dr. DeCristofaro oversaw a decrease in the dropout rate in Quincy public schools due to programs that he put in place that targeted and ensured that the most at-risk students knew that there was a school system that was there to fit them rather than trying to fit those kids into the school system. Dr. DeCristofaro set a standard for commitment and care in Quincy public schools that continues today with this new learning center, which will meet the needs of students who require special education services. Because of the tremendous vision, leadership, and work from Mayor Koch, Speaker Mariano, my colleagues in government, and many other officials from the city's government, school system, and school committee, students and families who might have previously gone outside this community can finally find those services and those benefits right here at home in the city of Quincy. So I'm proud to say that through the CARES Act, as the mayor mentioned, and the American Rescue Plan, we were able to secure about $57 million for the city of Quincy, but as the mayor says, about $15 million of that was used to build the Dr. Rick DeCristofaro Learning Center. And it's because of the partnerships that we have, like this, and leaders like Dr. Rick DeCristofaro and Mayor Koch, that I'm so proud to represent the wonderful city of Quincy. And when you think back, I think that John Adams and Abigail Adams and John Quincy Adams would agree that because of his years of service to this city and to the children of this city, I could think of no better person to dedicate this wonderful school to than Dr. Rick DeCristofaro. Thank you for your enduring support of Quincy Public Schools. You continued to build a legacy with your work each and every day, and this school is a testament to the culture you have built in this city. Thank you for having me today. May God bless the city of Quincy, and may God continue to bless these United States of America. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Congressman. You know, we really wouldn't be able to go down this road, if you will, on such a new educational initiative for municipality if we didn't have our finances in order. And I'm grateful for the city council that their vote, almost unanimous on this project, was very big. The school committee's idea about this was talked about for a long time to try to bring these kids home. Appreciate the incredible work of the school committee. But really, the Chapter 70 allocation from our state is huge. And this year, we saw a very large uptick, and I'm grateful to Senator Keenan and certainly the Speaker Mariano and Representative Ayers and Representative Chan for really being champions for education from the state. We can't do this alone. The state's been a great partner. Today, we have with us Mr. Speaker, who is obviously the first Speaker of the House since John Hancock or Colonel John Quincy, one of them. But more importantly, he's here as a friend of Rick's. They grew up together in what they call God's country in Quincy Point. I disagree with that, but we'll take that up another time. Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mayor, and to all my fellow colleagues in government and our congressman who really did deliver with the ARPA money and his forbearance in some of the issues that we have to deal with. Well, I'm not here to talk about the guys who built the building. I don't know who they are. I couldn't pick them out of here. I know they're in here because I heard them talking. I'm here to talk about my friend. When the mayor said that I could say a few words, well, let me just preface by saying before I knew Rick, I knew his mother, which was the case of most of the DeCristofaros, because she was involved in more things in Quincy Point than there were people, so she was everywhere. And for those of you who she dragged out to deliver flyers for me when I first ran, I apologize. And the payment of a hot dog and a Coke was really slave wages at the time, but I do appreciate it and I never forgot it. But here we are today talking about someone I probably met at the Point Gym on a Saturday morning. And I'm sure it didn't go well initially, but it developed into a friendship because he was my brother's age. And so that sort of set me off a little bit too. So I didn't want to hang around with my brother. But we ended up getting close. And I began to think about how my life is intertwined with his in very strange ways, just very strange ways. I was an employee of the Quincy Public Schools when he was a leader. When he was the superintendent, I was employed at the Quincy. When he was the head coach at Quincy High, I was sitting on the bench next to him, wondering why he was making all these crazy substitutions. I wouldn't do that. Thank God he didn't pay any attention to me. But one of the great things about Rick is I have seen him at every level of accomplishment in the Quincy Public School system. And the one thing that I think is missed in all our discussions here and all the tributes we're going to pay to him in naming this new building, this beautiful building after him, is his commitment to every kid in the Quincy Public School system. Whether you're an honest student or whether you're struggling to get by, I've seen him buy lunches for his players after school because he knew there was no one to go home to for a late game. So he'd load them in his car and take them out and get them something to eat so they wouldn't have to go to the game on an empty stomach. Things like that you don't forget. Those are the things that make Rick special. Those are the things that maybe you get a building named after you. I don't think any of those kids that he bought supper for are going to name a building after him. But they're never going to forget him. They'll never forget you, as scary as that is. Then to come back on the school committee, and that was another thing you alluded to. They hijacked me when I was on vacation and brought me back without telling me. And we were faced with cuts, massive cuts. Massive cuts. And I remember being amazed at Rick's system for making the cuts. It was a circular system. I didn't understand it at first. But when we got into it and started to look at the services we were providing further and further away from the classroom, those were the things we cut. We never cut a classroom teacher. That was the last thing on the list of cuts that we would make. And it taught me something. It taught me that the delivering of the services is the key function here. And the function is served best by the classroom teachers. And that's where his heart has always been. That's where this system has always been. And that's what makes the system special. And for those of the folks who battle with class size now, it's never easy. It's never easy. But the battle is worth it. It is worth the fight. And I'm so proud of the educational system that we have in Quincy that I'm just happy to be a part of it. And I'm happy to see my friend's name on the building. I don't know how long it'll be before the Cristofaro's gone and it's just Dr. D's building, but that'll happen before too long. But again, I'm really happy for the family. It's time that it is recognized. His service has been recognized. He's a dear friend. Now he's running a college, which is a trip by itself. So that'll come when we dedicate a new building at the college to you, not someone. But it's been a pleasure for me to be here and listen to these accolades. I just want to make one thing perfectly clear. He didn't mentor me. I stayed far away from him. I watched him coach. That was enough. I said, I'll teach him my own way. But it's been a great relationship, one that I enjoy to this day. And when we pick up the phone, when either he calls me or I call him, it's at least 10 minutes of just laughing before we get down to business. So it's a friendship that I really, really enjoy. So, and congratulations to you and the family.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Before I bring up young Rick, a few years ago, Superintendent and I would walk the buildings. He would bring me through the buildings, see the principals, the teachers, the classes, and the whole bit. So we're actually doing a video at North Quincy High School. We're talking and walking, and we're going through the gym. And because I heard about how wonderful a basketball player he was. And so I grabbed the ball and tossed it to him. And he took a shot, swish, right in there, right on camera. You can't make it up.
Did you show that in the video?
I think it was cut. But next up to introduce his dad, a young man who's following in his footsteps, Rick Cristofaro Jr., who has been a teacher and has moved his way up, and he's now the principal of our new Central Middle School. And I'm sure you've got some stories to tell, young Rick. No secrets.
It was already censored.
Oh, you've been warned.
Yes.
Rick DeCristofaro Jr.
Mr. Mariano, the difference is I had to play for him. So you sat next to him as a coach. Being a player, totally different. Yep. Yeah, I would have been somewhere else, the NBA or something, but that's all right. Thank you, Mayor Koch, Quincy School Committee, Superintendent Mulvey, Assistant Superintendent Perkins, for the opportunity for me to speak here today. To be honored with a school building named after you, you must have done something right. And you must have taken many experiences to attain this honor. Starting out as a student in the Quincy Public Schools through the years, he was called Richard, Ricky, Rico, Christy. And shocking to some, he was named to have the best personality in his Quincy High School graduating class of 1970. After earning his college degree, he returned to Quincy Public Schools as a substitute teacher, and then he became a full-time teacher, being called Mr. DeCristofaro or Mr. D, adding roles and participation with students as high school coach in basketball and soccer, and then eventually becoming an assistant principal, and then Principal DeCristofaro and Dr. DeCristofaro and Dr. D. On to assistant superintendent, and then eventually to his longest tenured role as superintendent, Dr. Rick DeCristofaro. In this role, he definitely earned some new names. But because we're honoring him here today, I will only share with you some of those G-rated names that he was called. Names like Big Guy, Boss Man, the Big Boss, and one, as it was mentioned here today, does not seem to want to go away, but Big Rick. Now all those QPS names and roles are in the past. He now has the role and name as the President DeCristofaro of Quincy College. But I wanted to make sure that I shared with you the story today, shorter and abridged version. Then looking around the room in the audience, I know many of you have heard this story about John Quincy Adams. John Quincy Adams is an older man relaxing in his rocking chair. Here's his grandson sharing loudly and not wanting to go to school. John Quincy Adams slowly gets out of his chair, slowly walks down the stairs, takes this hand of his grandson Henry, holding it, walks him all the way to school, still not saying a word on that miles-long, warm spring day walk. He dropped his grandson off at school, and still without saying a word, he returns back to Peacefield. John Quincy Adams' actions that day were a message to show the importance of education. And as I said, many of you in this room heard that story many times as his day as Superintendent Rick DeCristofaro. But each time I heard that story, I thought of something different. I thought of all the students in Quincy Public Schools that got to go to school every day through the outstretched hand of Dr. Rick DeCristofaro. Working with the members of the school committee, Mayor Koch and his predecessors, Laura Owens, his SLT, the building leaders, employees in the 3 different superintendent offices, the tech, NAGE, and the Coddington building, the bus drivers, each school's office staff, paraprofessionals, the teachers, educators, student support staff, the custodians, the food service providers, because no matter your role in the Quincy Public Schools, what mattered most to the superintendent were the students. The Dr. DeCristofaro Learning Center will continue to provide another way that his outstretched hand, like John Quincy Adams, offers that supportive message. There's one name and role that he earned that I have not mentioned. And this one, he will always have. He cannot retire from. But it's been his best role, where he's done his very best work. And I know my sister Katie and my brother Jeff will agree. And that is to be our dad. In closing, I just want to thank again Mayor Koch, School Committee, Superintendent Mulvey, and Assistant Superintendent Perkins, but for one additional thing. There is this beautiful park in Quincy Point, and there's always been this conflict and competition between my 2 boys. Because my son Teddy thinks that park is named after him and my nan. And so now, thank you all, that you have finally made it even, because Ricky thinks this beautiful school building is named after him. So thank you. And it's now with my whole heart, I get to introduce to you my dad.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Before I get into some remarks, thank you, Rick. Appreciate that very, very much. I'd like to introduce some family members. First, my beautiful wife, Trish, right here, and her Sullivan family members as well. Thank you so much for being here. And certainly my kids, Rick you heard from, Miss Katie and Jeffrey. I'm so lucky to have them in my life. I'm going to get through this. It's not going to be a problem, all right? Okay. Yeah, it's not easy. So, and Rick's wife, Lauren, is here, and also the boys, the two boys. They'll stand up and be recognized. Ricky and Teddy, all right? I'm so glad you're here. Jeff's fiance Rebecca as well. My big brother Teddy is here. My sister Ruthie is here, and Donnie, my brother Donnie is here, and I know Diane, Teddy's wife, is here as well. Thank you so much for being here, and a few cousins are here as well as nieces and nephews. I know Tim is here, and Mark is here, and Laurie's here, and I'll forget someone and really. But anyway, I love you, and I'm glad you're here. All right. But did I forget someone? Interesting. The mayor of Quincy Point, Betty DeCristofaro. Betty, just give her a wave. All right, it'll go right to your head, Betty. Forget it. Sweetheart. All right. And also, certainly, Mayor Koch, I mentioned Mayor Koch so many times, but that meeting that we had here with Paul as well, thank you so much for your work, Paul Hines, and so many others. But we talked about a building. We knew we didn't need another elementary school at the time. We knew we didn't need another middle school at the time. And so walking out of the building, the mayor just said, what about other population? What about? So we really started to talk about special education. We started to talk about how we wanted our kids, our students, our families right here in this building. So I thank him for his vision, always supportive, unselfish, and thoughtful, never wanting credit for himself, always for others. Thank you, Mayor Koch, so much appreciated. Congressman, thank you for your remarks. Always an incredible speaker, first of all. Then you go back to your ironworker days, and we really know what a great man you are to come from where you were to where you are today, and the work that you do with the mayor, with the speaker, with the House, with the Senate, and so many others. So thank you for juggling so much and doing so much. Thank you so much. And Ron, of course, helped himself to our life, But a great teacher he certainly was, state rep, Speaker of the House, school committee member. All right, never, ever, ever forgetting your roots, Ron Mariano. Never, ever in God's country in Quincy Point. But the key is, yes, we did coach together, yes. And I did listen to you, especially when I called too many timeouts. And I looked at you and said, why didn't you tell me? It was my third timeout. We were down 22 at the time, but thank you. And remember, too, we used to play basketball every Saturday night, and I was the only one to pass you the basketball. Never a thank you for that. You're doing a great job as Speaker, and we appreciate you being so much a part of Quincy as well. The superintendent's leadership team is here, I'm sure. Thank you for the work you continue to do, as well as some of the retired leadership team that worked so well, I think, with me and for the school system. Richie O'Brien, Janet Powell is here, Maddie Roy is here, Judy Todd, Colleen Roberts, and Carmen Mariano is here as well. If I forgot someone, I'm so sorry. I did speak at your retirement, though. I remember that. So that was great. So we're thankful for all the work you've done in the past, certainly. All right, and the teachers that are here, retired teachers and teachers that are here present that teach in this building, that will teach in this building, that do such great things with special education. And as well, you know, our Quincy College colleagues are here. Thank you so much for being here. Greg Hanley is here. He's chair of the Board of Governors. Thank you very, very much for being here. And Board of Governors goes back again to Ron and being a part of that board for Quincy College. So, you know, I want to thank everyone for being here. Certainly, it's been a lifelong honor to be a part of the Quincy Public Schools, to work alongside dedicated educators, staff, administrators, leadership teams, city council members, of course, the state delegation, John, and of course, school committee, key roles of school committee, and having a mayor that cares, the chair of the school committee. Thank you, Mayor Koch. But what makes this incredible city so wonderful and so unique is its devotedness to its most cherished, its children. As a teacher at every level, I was a regular ed teacher, but special ed teacher at elementary, at middle, and high school, as a coach, an assistant principal, assistant superintendent under Gene Creedon. I know Kathy is here as well, his wife. Thank you for being here, Kath. And fortunate to become the superintendent of schools for 19 years. In this gratifying but challenging, Kevin, challenging? Yes, okay. Role. Service really is about a promise, Quincy's promise to every Quincy student, that measured blend of caring, culture, and community connections, and always support, that shares that all students have a multitude of opportunity and a foundation for lifelong learning while creating incredible relationships that foster and influence education that's personal. I've had the distinction of participating in the design and implementation of new schools. Design and implementation. No one would trust me with construction, believe me. Work with a hammer, forget it, you know. So Quincy High School, Central and South Middle Schools, and Marshall Elementary School, Quincy Point, would never have happened without the support of Ron Mariano at that time, as well as the renovation of Quincy Point Middle School, where I attended more than a few years ago. So did he. So did Ron. So today, this thoughtfully designed neighborhood school clearly offers its children learning with enthusiasm and confidence and success and happiness and smiles that will always inspire. Educators here will be offered continued dedication and devotion, patience and passion, commitment and care, while serving what they know about education. But more importantly, sharing who they are right from their heart. The design of this child-centered school is state-of-the-art in all aspects of education, as well as state of the heart, as it is built with the well-being of every child fortunate to attend this center. Here, parents and families will be provided a pathway of participation, of trust, of confidence, of optimism, of openness, and significant opportunity to partner in their child's personalized education. So today, as we celebrate such significant meaning, we are so very confident that within these four walls of brick and mortar, the activities of cherished students and staff will be defined by accomplishments and achievement, joy and love, and of course, a consistent presence of the three most important ingredients within this state of the heart school. The first ingredient will be kindness. The second important ingredient will be kindness. And the third most important ingredient within this awesome place of learning will be, thank you so much. You know, in closing, I want to thank the Quincy School Committee members for their thoughtfulness in making this tribute happen. Frank Santoro, Emily Lebo, Doug Gutrow, Paul Bergoli, Kathy Hubley, Anthony Andronico, and Tina Cahill as well. And thank you to the chair of the Quincy School Committee, Mayor Koch, for your vision and support of education in this absolutely incredible city. I thank you all so very, very much. Thank you. Thank you. My cards. Take my cards. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. D. I want to acknowledge Senator Timilty has joined us as well on the back of the room. At this time, I would like to invite Dr. DeCristofaro and those family members who wish to join him. He's going to unveil what will be placed in the lobby downstairs. That'll be the welcoming message here in the building, and we'll take some photos. And then I would ask all of you to go up one flight. We got a nice lunch planned and ready for you up there, so please join us for lunch afterwards. So, Dr. D, if you would. Be the drum roll.
You never had good hands. Drum roll. Drum roll.
Want to lead the way up to the lunch?
Oh, yeah.
Betty's going to lead the way for the lunch.
Come on, Betty. You always like a good lunch. Let's go.
Thanks for including us. Yeah, thanks so much. Minute by minute down there. Thank you, appreciate that. More to come, I never get it.
Good luck with that one.
I tell them how to get up there.
Give me this, like, let's say 2 dozen, maybe 30.
Take two.
Thank you.